Hi, Dr. Reagan Robertson, CCO of Productive Dentist Academy here, and I have a question for you. Are you finding it hard to get your team aligned to your vision, but you know you deserve growth just like everybody else? That's why we've created the PDA Productivity Workshop. For nearly 20 years, PDA workshops have helped dentists just like you align their teams, get control of scheduling, and create productive practices that they love walking into every day. Just imagine how you will feel when you know your schedule is productive, your systems are humming, and your team is aligned to your vision. It's simple, but it's not necessarily easy. We can help. Visit productivedentist.com/workshop. That's productivedentist.com/workshop to secure your seats now.
I did a dermal filler class. It was called something like, PRP and dermal fillers, PRP, PRF. It's autologous blood that's centrifuged and mixed. So that way you can take the plasma and use it as an injectable instead of using Juvederm, which is a synthetic, that you can use something like PRP to be able to not only make it look as though it's plumped up, but it regenerates collagen. And so I'm super excited about getting started with that with patients.
Welcome to the Everyday Practices Podcast. I'm Reagan Robertson, and my co-host, Dr. Chad Johnson, and I are on a mission to share the stories of everyday dentists who generate extraordinary results using practical, proven methods you can take right into your own dental practice. If you're ready to elevate patient care and produce results that are anything but ordinary, buckle up and listen in.
Welcome to Everyday Practices Dental Podcast. I am your host, Reagan Robertson, here with my co-host, Dr. Chad Johnson. Dr. Chad, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Reagan. How are you doing, co-host?
Well, I'm doing fantastic. I spent the weekend getting my own CE on. So we are learning collectively as consultants how to become better PQ coaches, positive intelligence coaches, getting out of our headspace, our own self-saboteurs, because everybody has self-saboteurs, and how to get into our sage mind, which is the positive light side, how to tackle challenges in a positive way. So we're going through that. And I just found out 2 seconds ago that you too were working on your CE earlier.
Yeah, well, to bridge that, this is kind of a casual podcast, but I wanted to bring up to bridge that. One of the books that we are going to be talking about for the listener's sake is the Arbinger Institute's book called Leadership and Self-Deception. So along the lines of what Reagan was talking about, it made me reminisce about Leadership and Self-Deception, the book. So we'll be doing that one. It's a casual dialogue between, if I remember right, a guy who is new at the workplace and in essence, the owner or the higher up boss, and he kind of Yoda guides him to reflect on himself more about, like how he's doing and stuff. So yeah, we'll talk about that book. But yeah, I was down in Phoenix and I did a dermal filler class. It was called something like, PRP and dermal fillers, PRP, PRF. It's autologous blood that's centrifuged and mixed. So that way you can take the plasma and use it as an injectable instead of using Juvederm, which is a synthetic, that you can use something like PRP to be able to not only make it look as though it's plumped up, but it regenerates collagen. And so I'm super excited about getting started with that with patients. I've been doing PRP for, I don't know, maybe 10 years, 9 or 10 years.
That's what
now.
I thought.
Yep.
It's not this is nothing new to you. You're down with PRP.
It's learning how to cook it and inject it specifically for dermal fillers. And I've been doing Juvederm for 4 years tops, maybe now, something like that. And it's just kind of cool to be able to use something natural from the patient's own blood and be able to inject that. So Arun Garg, my buddy down in Miami, did remote education the first day regarding that. And then
nice.
And then Dr. Karen Sierra is in Phoenix, and she taught the hands-on portion. So it was 2 days. One was a little bit more, one was didactic, and then the next day was The next day was hands-on, where we had patients lined up, and then some people wanted to do it on each other too. The first day was didactic, but then we also, for the phlebotomist, she had her own blood drawn and did the facial stuff. So we did microneedling with PRP. You've heard it called before on, what is it? The Kardashians have done vampire facials, and that's what.
Yes, I've heard of vampire facials.
Yep, vampire facials. So that's what this is. And it's so cool. I just thought it was so cool to know that this is regenerative, in the sense that you're actually getting the body to heal itself, to regenerate new collagen. So that way, you know, whether it's your lips are plumper, whether it's acne scarring that's filled in more, whether it's a crease or a wrinkle in your face that you want to get rid of, even the nasolabial folds to soften that appearance and stuff like that. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. Also there was a patient that they were doing hair regrowth with the PRP. And so it doesn't regrow bald spots, but you can add it into spots that are a little less dense with hair, and you can get hair density increased from that as well. So super interesting stuff. Interesting.
You said that you did Juvederm before.
I did.
So, and you've done PRP, but not in the aesthetic sense. Was it just for the clinical regenerative properties? You weren't using it in an aesthetic way?
No, it's still aesthetic, but it's not, that's only temporary, making the appearance as though it's regenerated. But you're not
with Juvederm.
Correct. But with Juvederm, you're not actually regenerating collagen. So far as I know, like after 6 months, 12 months, whatever, maybe 18 months if you're lucky, but it's all going to go away. Now, on the contrary, with PRP, you do it a few times, and then there's a possibility that you've grown thicker lips and collagen in your lips because you've regenerated the collagen into your lips. So it doesn't.
That has got to be so attractive as an offer, because of, you know, the reactions that can occur with synthetics. I was going to ask you, how are you marketing? I see Botox on your website, but how are you marketing Juvederm for people?
So, well, we don't.
How does that come up in conversation? I would never expect my dentist to say, "Oh, those crow's feet kind of bothering you." No, I could just.
Yep. So we don't bring it up. Patients do. They'll see that we have Botox stuff, and because I treat Botox TMD patients with Botox.
Right. That was my assumption.
Yes. And I'll also, that's one of my favorite things to do, because it really is cool to see the big time results that patients have with Botox. But TMD patients, I mean, that are just, you know, historically written off as just, oh, they're just nuts, and they just need to quit squeezing their teeth, and they just need a night guard and stuff like that. But man, to actually have them come in and be like, wow, for 3 months, I no headaches. I was a lot better. So all that stuff. But we don't advertise Juvederm. But what's funny is patients will say, man, I wish while you were doing the Botox, you could also plump up my lips. And I'll go, well, we can. And they're like, are you serious? Well, yeah, sure. Or there's other times if I'm giving injections, they're like, man, my lip is so numb. I wish I could, like, you know, plump my lip up. And I'm like, well, I could put in some Juvederm. Now we can go about doing that. And the other cool thing is too, instead of paying $300, $500, you know, for a Juvederm box, that's just the supplies. I can drop some blood, and for, you know, let's say $10 of supplies, $15 worth of supplies, I can do the same cosmetic or regenerative procedure for a fraction of the cost for me. Which then one could choose: do you pass that cost savings along to the patient, or is the procedure now just more affordable for you to, you know, have a better bottom line? So or split the difference. So
I don't
advertise for it. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to advertise for this facial aesthetics course, because I think I'm just going to do it internally, but I don't really want to attract, you know, a bunch of attention to this, because, well, I'm busy enough as it is. And so if I weren't busy, then I would draw attention to it. But because I have, steady work otherwise, this is a nice adjunct for me to add for patients and even for my team. Shonda's looking forward to frown line. She's like, get rid of that thing. So stuff like that. Yeah,
it would be an enormous value add. I mean, I have not. I've heard of Botox, but I have not heard of using PRP in this way, which is extremely exciting. Can you imagine? Right. I mean, going in and I know I'm going to get my teeth cleaned and my lips plumped. Like, sign me up. And maybe my little crow's feet. That's what would bother me. I want those gone. I mean, that would be incredible. And then nobody has to know. I'm just going to the dentist.
Well, what's fun too is Dr. Garg was saying, and then he's saying, I just tell patients, that, hey, so far as your spouse is concerned, they see a dental bill and it's quite discreet that, yes, you had dentistry done, because we are doctors of the head and neck and supporting structures of the smile. There it is. So I guess you are at choice. So right now, the way your practice is humming, you're not itching for patients. Like, you feel you're blessed, right? You've put in the hard work, so you don't have to market it. However, as part of the story to that, what is your interest behind PRP? I mean, enough for you to go down. Let me paint the scene here and play. I'm not playing devil's advocate, but you traveled specifically to Arizona to take this course. I know you love Arun, and listeners, I think we have another episode where you interviewed Arun as well. You could probably go back and listen to that. Yep. So we've got that. That was in Hawaii, actually, that I interviewed him. I said, I'll come speak, but I want you to podcast with me. He said, yeah, sure. So for you to travel and take this education, there is a reason behind it, and might not market it at all. So why does this intrigue you so much? Well, I had a patient that was getting headaches, migraines. She's a doctor and an MD, and she said, man, the medication that I'm purchasing, this is so much more cost effective than the medications that I'm taking for this. And I think she was doing Maxalt, and she was like, man, I don't know, $600 or $800 a month, kind of. Oof. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so if we're doing this, the head and neck stuff for her muscles, then she was like, I wish around my lips you could take care of that. And I said, I've got an email from Dr. Garg about doing a course on that. And I said, because, dermal fillers, I'm not quite sure how that would work around your lips and stuff. She said, well, go take the course. And Shonda, my hygienist, was like, I wish you could help me too, like get rid of that frown mark there on me more too. And so I thought, you know what, this is crazy. So for 2 potential patients, I was like, you know what, why not? So Maria is the I don't know what her official title is, but is COO of Dr. Garg's implant seminars and stuff, and got a hold of me for his sub branch called Facial Aesthetics for Dentists, Facial Aesthetics with an A, aesthetics for dentists. And she said, hey, do you want to come to this course? And I was like, you know what? I actually do. So funny enough, she asked. So that was just a good point to make, is she asked, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, sign me up. And so, because I thought Phoenix is a direct flight, I'm kind of curious to how to take what I already know about PRP and what I already know about dermal fillers and combine them. So that way I've got more arsenal. That's kind of what it came. And I love Phoenix. And I'll tell you why. 2 reasons why I love Phoenix. Number 1, I told everyone this is casual, okay? But in Apache Junction, which is east of Mesa, there's a restaurant called Los Gringos Locos, and they have fantastic chimichangas. And then also my new find was Little Miss Barbecue in Sunny Slope, right near the Phoenix Mountains and Phoenix Mountains Preserve. And so it's north of the airport, maybe 15 minutes or so. Little Miss Barbecue, and that was my new find. I just love, I'm a foodie and I like going to different restaurants. So some barbecue and chimichanga, yeah, it's worth it.
Those are some good names too. They're cleverly named restaurants.
Yes.
So it's a bit assumptive on my part, Would you say my assumption is that PRP is drastically more healthier than the synthetic fillers? Because I've heard that fillers can migrate, like in your lips, like they can migrate over time. So PRP just seems to be working with your own body. So there's the.
It's more.
I mean,
yes.
What is your equipment? What do you need? A centrifuge?
A centrifuge. So an equipment that I now need to buy. It's a little heater.
Okay.
You heat the PRP. You siphon off half of it, and then you use the other half for liquid. You take one half and you cook it in the heater, and it's not that hot of a heater. It's like 75 degrees, and it cooks for 8 minutes, and it's just enough to warm it up to where it's more like an egg yolk. And then you stir it back and forth between two syringes to the liquid to get the consistency that you want, depending on where you're putting it in the face. So I just need a heater. If you're new to PRP, you'd need blood drawing, phlebotomy stuff and a centrifuge, and needles, hypodermics and stuff like that to be able to inject it and draw it out of the test tubes. And I suppose the knowledge of where to park it. Interestingly too, I had just got done with a AACD journal and I wish I could tell everyone which one it was. My apologies, but it was going through the different vasculature anatomy, musculature anatomy, all the stuff like that for where to park Botox, dermal fillers, and everything like that. And so it was just quintessentially coalescing.
It sounds really exciting. So you've come back.
Yeah.
Are you excited to start?
Yes, I am. I actually am. If you can't tell,
I can.
Yeah, I'm super pumped about this, which is kind of why, Regan, we chose to talk about this just as an option. And if people say, I don't want to do that, well, I'll tell you what, next time you're in Phoenix for a continued ed, because there's a ton in there, check out, first off, if you're New Mexican, check out the chimichanga at Los Gringos Locos or the barbecue 15 minutes north of the airport before you're heading back, Little Miss Barbecue, Sunny Slope. So.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your excitement and the benefits and everything I'm sure that Arun has other courses coming up. What did you call it? Facial aesthetics in dentistry?
Facial aesthetics for dentists. And of course, under his bigger umbrella of implant seminars, for sure, of which I'm a diplomate. So I've done hold on. So you do the fellowship and the mastership and then the diplomate and stuff like that, just so that way people know. It seems like a lot of dentists call it. So
get your heater there by June. I'll be there. I'll fly down in June.
Yes. Oh, I'm going to have it. I'm going to have it by the end of the week. It's Monday while we're recording here, just so people know. I'm going to have it by the end of the week. Okay,
well, I'll check in. We'll follow up. We'll follow up in a few weeks and see how it's going. Congratulations on bringing in something new.
If anyone's kind of curious what the heater was called, it was from an Italian company called Silfradent, SILFRADENT, Silfradent.com. And I've been, planning on going on their website I don't know how much that thing costs, but it was somewhere between $1,000 and $1,500. And just so people have an idea, I'm going to look
to get it through customs. You have to actually go to Italy, though. So you better tell Sarah you have to go to Italy.
Well, I mean, if we have to. That's a good point. I forgot about that. But they have English on here. So I imagine, I don't know. We'll see. I'm just super pumped about it, everyone.
And that's a wrap.
That's it.
All right, everybody. Let us know. Email us and tell us if you do things that are a little bit outside of traditional. I would call that outside of traditional dentistry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not witchcraft. Like, this stuff has a proven track record. And so holistic doesn't necessarily mean listen.
Well, now, while you're doing it, your assistant could be pulling tarot deck readings. They could do a tarot card reading. Then that could maybe,
especially if they're licensed in that. I don't know,
palm reading. You could put a little palm reading thing in your window.
If it helps, I'm game to hear it out, All right. Well, listeners, thanks for listening up. And chimichanga is the best in the nation at Los Gringos Locos. I wanted to make sure to say it 3 times because maybe they'll sponsor us. And if they do sponsor us, you'll hear it at the end of this commercial.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Everyday Practices Podcast. Chad and I are here every week thanks to our community of listeners just like you, and we'd love your help. It would mean the world if you can help spread the word by sharing this episode with a fellow dentist and leave us a review on iTunes or Spotify. Do you have an extraordinary story you'd like to share or feedback on how we can make this podcast even more awesome? Drop us an email at podcast@productivedentist.com. And don't forget to check out our other podcasts from Productive Dentist Academy at productivedentist.com/podcasts. See you next week.